waters
below. A little silver and a little gold, but in that city the sun will shine. I want a gold one, that silver line. I've got a mansion just over the hilltop in that bright land where we'll never grow old. And someday yonder we'll never wander, but walk the streets that are pure as gold. Tempted, tormented and tested, and like the prophet, my pillow's a stone. And though I find here no permanent dwelling, I know He'll give me a mansion my own. I've got a mansion just over the hilltop in that bright land where we'll never grow old. Someday yonder we'll never wander, but walk the streets that are pure as gold. Don't think me wrong, deserted or lonely. I'm not discouraged. I'm heaven bound. I'm just a pilgrim in search of the city. I want a mansion, a harp and a crown. I've got a mansion just over the hilltop in that bright land where we'll never grow old. And someday yonder we'll never wander, but walk the streets that are pure as gold. Well, that was a great start. I think we've woken a few people up. We've got a few more people in here. And so we'll continue singing, and hopefully more people will keep coming. So morning, all the campers that are in bed still. You're welcome to come and join us. We're going to come and sing Love Comes Trickling Down. I'm sure lots of you know this one. So we're going to do ladies first, like hey ladies, and then hey men as the second verse. So the men sing to the ladies, start with.
Hey ladies,
Has God
been good to you.
Hey!
God been good to you.
I know the Lord has been good to me, and His love comes trickling down. Oh, love comes trickling down. practicing that one, I think. We got lost there with some of the men singing to us, but that's okay. Of course, Alfredo, of course. Okay, next one we're going to do is Do Lord, I think, when it comes up. Okay, I've got a home in glory land. I've got a home in glory land that outshines the sun. I've got a home in glory land that outshines the sun. I've got a home in glory land that outshines the sun. Way beyond the... Can we just stop that there for a moment? Is there any kids out there that want to come up and do some actions with us? Anyone? Come on. Even if you don't know them, you can come and copy. Come on, come up. I've got one brave person. Oh, come on, Cooper. Come on, Marcus. Come on, whoever else is over there. Come on. Don't be shy. Let's go. Who is that? Jacob. Come on. Oh, this is Jacob. Okay, we might go from the chorus. Yes, good job. Come over and do the actions for us. Clap, Cooper, like this for the chorus. Or like this. Do Lord, oh do Lord, oh do remember me. Do Lord, oh do Lord, oh do remember me. Do Lord, oh do remember me. Way beyond the blue. I do Jesus as my Savior, take him to. I do Jesus as my Savior, take him to. Way beyond the blue. Do Lord, oh do Lord, oh do remember me. Do Lord, oh do Lord, oh do remember me. Do Lord, oh do Lord, oh do remember me. Way beyond the blue. Now the girls, us girls are going to heaven. Won't you boys come too? We girls are going to heaven. Won't you boys come too? We girls are going to heaven. Won't you boys come too? Way beyond the blue. Lord, oh do remember me. Do Lord, oh do remember me. Do Lord, oh do remember me. Way beyond the blue. Now the boys.
Thank you for the invitation we're coming to. Thank you for the invitation we're coming to. Thank you for the invitation we're coming to. Way beyond the blue.
Do Lord, oh do remember me. Do Lord, oh do remember me. Do Lord, oh do remember me. Way beyond the blue. Thank you guys very much for singing, and that's our songs for today. Thank you.
Well, it's always wonderful to be at Big Camp, hey? And particularly wonderful when it's in Northern Australia and you come from Melbourne. Because at the moment in Melbourne, when I wake up in the morning, guess what? It's freezing and I'm straight out to turn on the heating and heat the place up again. But this morning, don't want blankets on, I'm already sweating. It's wonderful. So it's lovely to be at camp and lovely to be at family worship. And this week we're talking about devoted disciples. Now I know that in other big camps, the kids come down the front for family worship in the morning. Does that happen here? Well, come on, let's do it. Come down here. Because I've got some things I want to show you. And there's so many of you up at family worship in the morning. That's wonderful. Any of you in juniors? You're juniors? Then you'll get to meet my son because he came for the week. I've got to go away to some other meetings where lots of other Adventists are doing not as interesting stuff as you're doing, but they're doing things as well over in America. But my son's staying all week, and his name's Ben. So when you see Ben in juniors, then that's my boy. Any of you in primary? You're in primary? Well, my wife is Amanda. I didn't drag her out of bed this morning, so I don't think she's here yet. But Amanda, you'll see her in primaries, and so you'll see her. But I get to hang out with you this morning. But you're going to meet my brother, who's not here yet, but I've got a brother who you'll see him because he twists balloons and everything. And so he's going to be here later in the week. So I'm the fill-in for this morning. I'm filling in for my brother. But we're talking about devoted disciples. But first of all, who's got a pet? Who's got pets at home? Of course you do. What have you got? What pet have you got? Tell me about your pet. Oh, no. So you've got a dog, a cat that got run over. That's sad about cats getting run over. That's one of the sad things about pets when you lose a pet. Yes? What do you got for, what's your pet? A calf, did you say? A calf, a goldfish, and a dog. What's the calf's name? Amali. Wow, that's a very exotic name for a calf. Who else has got a pet? What do you got? Oh yeah, used to have a dog. Yeah, but you had to bury it. That sometimes happens. It's very sad. You got chickens. What sort of chickens? Do you know, or just chickens that lay good eggs? So what you need to do when later the week, when my brother Darren turns up here, you talk to him about chickens because he is a chicken expert. A rat dog. A dog that's a rat, or a rat that's a dog, or a dog that looks like a rat. Excellent. Any other pets? What do you got? You got guinea pigs. Excellent. Guinea pigs are worth having. And chickens. And what was yours? You got fish. Yep. You got horses. Well, you're a bit lucky. Stop. Horses, chickens, fish. What was the next one? You said gecko, didn't you? See, you win my prize already because you're a bit of a champion. What sort of gecko? You've got a Queensland thick-tailed gecko. That's sensational. We're going to chat. Everyone else can do their own thing, and we'll chat about geckos later. Because I'm going to tell you about my pets. I grew up in a house with lots of animals. We only had a little house on the edge of the Murray River down the bottom of Australia. But we had lots of chooks. In fact, my dad used to take chooks to shows and try and win prizes for showing chooks. And now my oldest brother and my next oldest brother, they are still obsessed by chooks. They have hundreds of chooks. And we used to have dogs. My sister used to have the dogs. And we had cats. And we had lots of different birds and finches and budgies and canaries and different parrots and pheasants and all kinds of unusual things. We had goats. We had a cow called Blossom. That's why I was interested in the calf. Do you know what? Grew up and I thought it was normal to have lots of animals. I thought everyone had lots of animals. But it seemed like our house was just overrun with lots of animals. But my brother, the one you're going to meet this week, so when you meet Pastor Darren, he's going to be here Monday. So Tuesday morning, Pastor Darren's here. When you meet him, He used to keep ferrets as well. Does he ever see a ferret? Yeah, strange little things, eh? He used to have all these ferrets. He used to have homing pigeons. He used to race pigeons. They used to take the pigeons far, far away, and the pigeons had to fly home. And I remember this pigeon had done really well, but it sat up in the gum tree, wouldn't come down to get clicked in so you could get the prize. And so we had this pigeon that was a champion pigeon, but would never finish the race properly. It's important to finish a race, by the way. Paul talks about that. But these are my pets. So when you come visit Melbourne sometime, and you can come to my house, and in my house I have my reptile room, and these are some of the guys you'll meet. Now, why am I showing you this, and what's that got to do with disciples? Because I think reptiles can tell you lots about being a disciple. And you guys living up in this part of Australia, you have some of the most amazing reptiles, including Queensland thick-tailed geckos. And Pastor Gilmore, where he lives, out at Alice Springs, he kept sending me all the time. It's ding, what's going on now? Pastor Gilmore's found another reptile. Ding, Pastor Gilmore's found another reptile. And he's forever sending me pictures of reptiles and all kinds of amazing things. But I'll show you what my pets are. And I'll tell you why I think they're important. And what's it got to do with being a disciple? You're into snakes. Excellent. Well, I gave my prize away, but I have to give you a prize later. Into snakes, yeah. So, Ellen White in her book, Steps to Christ, she starts out, she says, God's love is written everywhere. She said, everywhere. All creation shows us pictures of God. And she says, every flower, every blade of grass is showing God's love. If I was writing that, I'd add every reptile. Do reptiles show us God's love? I reckon they do. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you why I think they show us God's love. This one here. These ones are pretty common. Up here you've got the eastern bearded dragon. This one's the central bearded dragon. This one comes out from your way, Pastor Gilmore, this guy. Amazing animals. Absolutely amazing. And you touch those spikes. They're not that spiky, and they're super friendly, even though they look like they're a little bit angry. But bearded dragons have got something really interesting. How many eyes do you think a bearded dragon has? How many eyes? Of course you can see 2 eyes. What a silly question. 2 eyes, hey. But did you know that on the top of the bearded dragon, in the middle of his head, and I've got that picture of him when he's little up close there, there's a little scale that's different. And they call it a third eye. It doesn't look like an eye, like a normal eye, but a bearded dragon in his little scale at the top, he can see shadows go way up above him. So if there's a bird way up above him circling around who thinks a bearded dragon might be yummy, guess what? He can sense that with his top eye. So isn't it amazing? You've got 2 eyes like the sides, but then he's got his third eye on top. You've got a few different lizards that do that. And so that's why if you've got a pet bearded dragon, has anyone got a pet bearded dragon? You ever had a bearded dragon? Yeah, you have. They love being patted on the beard, hey? Love it. Absolutely love it. But they don't really like it if you grab them on the head. That's because it's like, worry, don't worry, worry, don't worry, worry, don't worry, back and forward. And because when it goes dark on top of their head, they go, worry, something's above me. Now, that's a clever thing if you're a bearded dragon. But do you know Jesus actually says, he talks about you and I, there's eyes like this. But then he says, your heart. He says, can you see with your heart? Jesus says you can. He goes, can you see the needs of others? Can you see someone who's lonely? Can you see someone who's not having a good day? Can you see someone who's sad? Can you see someone who needs to be cared for? So Jesus says you've got 3 eyes. Of course you got those ones. Jesus also talks about those ones, said there's none so blind at those who cannot see. He goes, you can see with your eyes, but maybe you're blind if you can't see with your heart. So when I play with my bearded dragon, this one's called Bronwyn, by the way. When I play with my bearded dragon, I remember bearded dragon, 3 eyes, 2 eyes here, but can I see with my heart? You ready for another one? This is your thing, because you've got a Queensland thick-tailed. Guess what this one is? This is the one that comes from out Pastor Gilmore's way, the Underwoodosaurus millie is its scientific name. Some people call it a barking gecko or thick-tailed gecko. They're very cool, hey? Now, this one, see the little babies. Little baby lizards are the cutest things. But this one, see its tail? for our indigenous stories, if you read some of the indigenous stories, they say this is a woomera. And they say this gecko was the one going around protecting all the other geckos and all the little animals out in the middle of Australia. Because they said he has a woomera for a tail and he barks. And even though he's little, he's only about that big, he can get really upset and make out he's pretty strong, even though he's not really. But they say that's his woomera tail, and he's the protector of the other geckos in their stories. If you read in Chronicles, or you can read in Psalms, it says, God is our protector, a very present help in times of trouble. So when I go and see my little underwatersaurus geckos, mind you, they're out at night time, hey. This is the cool thing about keeping reptiles. I've got a whole bunch of reptiles that come out in the morning and go to sleep at night time, and a whole nother set that wake up at night time and stay awake all night. So isn't that cool? You've always got a pet to play with. So these ones come out at night time, but when I go down to feed them, you feed yours crickets, yep, and mealworms, yep. And when I go down to feed these guys, I think that's the protector of geckos, but I've got a protector in heaven. It says God is our protector, a very present help in trouble. Okay, want another one? Yeah? Yeah, another pet? Now this one is super cool. Because this one, does anyone know what this is? Oh, I wish it was a Komodo dragon. You don't. Imagine if I had a Komodo dragon at my house. There's one at the Australian Reptile Park, but they come from across in Indonesia way. But see, how do you know so much about reptiles? That's because you just know. That's excellent. It is a monitor lizard. It's called the ridge-tailed monitor. And guess which part of Australia he comes from? Yeah, he is out in Central Australia, but these guys, lots of them around Mount Isa. Has anyone ever been to Mount Isa? Pastor Tafu, he knows lots about Mount Isa. Yeah, so these guys are from Mount Isa, and I've got two of these guys at home, the ridge-tail monitors. Now, they're only little monitors. They're amongst the world's smallest monitors, but they think they're big. They think they're Komodo dragons, and they walk around acting like Komodo dragons. But the cool thing is on their tail, they have lots of little ridges, and they live out in the rocks near Mount Isa, and if a dingo or something wants to eat them, they can run between the rocks and hook their little ridge tails in, and you can't get them out. They're amazing, absolutely amazing. They love being warm. Now, ridge-tail monitor in Melbourne, that's a long way away from home, hey. But for this guy, if you went to my ridge-tail monitor cage today, the little temperature would be saying 50 degrees, because I've right under that rock there. You can see him sitting on his rock. He gets to 50 degrees because it heats him up and heats him up and heats him up. And at night time, I let it go cold, but the rock stays warm. And so I created a little bit of Mount Isa in my house just to make sure he's got the right conditions. But that's a ridge-tail monitor, and he's got lots of ways to protect himself. He can give you a good bite if he wanted to, but he won't bite you. He can give you a good scratch because he's got really good claws. He's got a really good tail with little spikes on it. He's got all kinds of weapons. But in Ephesians 6, it says we have our own weapons against the devil. And it talks about breastplates of righteousness and a shield of truth and all kinds of... So we've got a defense system as well. I'm going to tell you another defense system in a minute. I bet you won't know this one. Anyone know this one? No, because this one's endangered. And so I've got the mum and I've got a dad, and we're trying to breed some babies to put them back out into the middle of Australia, out at Mungo National Park, where some cats have eaten lots of these guys. And so there's not many left, and so they've made a spot to keep the cats out, and we're going to put these guys back out there. But that's the narrow-banded sand swimmer. And you know what? You're hardly ever going to see him, because even when I go to his cage, it looks like I have an empty cage. Because they live under the sand nearly all day. And so under the sand, and they pop out every once in a while, but they spend most of their life under the sand, never see them. Yet every once, like of an evening, you'll go and give them some crickets. Out they'll come, grab the cricket, and go back under the sand again. But sadly, out in the middle of Australia, there's lots of feral cats where these guys are, and they can follow them in the sand, and they grab them and eat them. So we're trying to get these guys back. But his house is in the sand. Good place, bad place? Good place if you're a sand swimmer. Jesus says if you're a human, is your house built on the sand a good place? No, you know a song about that, hey? build your house upon the rock. So if you're a sand swimmer, perfect place for a house in the sand. If you're a disciple, you build your house upon the rock, which is Jesus, which is something solid and a good foundation. But these are a little skink. You're right about them being a skink. But yeah, the narrow-banded sand swimmer. You want another one? Yeah, blue-tongued lizard. How cool is that? So the top one is the eastern blue tongue. You'll get the eastern blue tongue around here. You got some blue tongues around your place? Yeah, they do very well. They even come into the town sometimes. You find them in your yards. Absolutely amazing. The second one along, that's the blotch blue tongue. You only find those ones in Victoria. They like being cold, those ones. This other one, that's the one you're going to find out your way, Pastor Gilmore, the shingleback. He's still a blue tongue lizard, but he's the one that's got little pine cones on him. So, yeah. Your mum found a blue tongue? Yeah. But blue tongues are beautiful, aren't they? Absolutely lovely, lovely animals. And they're big blue tongues. In actual fact, there's a pygmy blue tongue that they thought was extinct and they're found again across in Adelaide, which is pretty exciting, who doesn't have a blue tongue, even though he's a part of the blue tongue family. Do you know what? In the book of James chapter 3, he talks lots about, he actually talks about reptiles. He says you can tame all kinds of animals, even reptiles, so it does get mentioned in the Bible. But then he says there's something more difficult to tame than a reptile, and guess what it is? It's your tongue. You might not have a blue tongue, unless you've been licking a weird icy pole, but you've got to think about taming your tongue, is what James says. He says your tongue can say wonderful things like, yes, I will help, and yes, I'll help with the dishes, and I love cleaning up my room, and sure, I'll go to bed when you tell me. Or your tongue can say terrible things like hurtful things that call people names and say mean things. And he says, your tongue speaks what your heart is full of. So taming your tongue starts with having a heart that's growing as a disciple, and then you have Jesus speak through your tongue. But when I look at my blue tongues, I think amazing tongue. But then I think, I have a tongue. It can also be amazing. Now, blue tongues, do you know why they flick out their tongues all the time? To taste the air. You are a very clever, a person who studies reptiles is called a herpetologist. You are a clever herpetologist. Because yes, they taste the air. Because the air tells them all the information about what's going on, what's around me. Is there food? Is there something that's going to be a problem? And so they're flicking out their tongue all the time, and they've got a little gland inside their mouth that's testing the air all the time about what's going on. So imagine if you and I were doing that. All day, we walk around going, what's going on? What's going on? That'd be cool. And what if you didn't have an eyelid and like a gecko, you have to go, I've got to clean my eye now, give it a lick. It's pretty clever, eh? You ever tried to lick your, now you're trying. Some of you are trying. Good on you. This one here. You get these, yeah. Now this is the eastern long-necked tortoise, and you get some of them not far from here. Down in the river down here, you get stacks of the Ross River turtles. Hey, stacks of them here. But this one here is in the Murray River system, and that's when it's a baby over there. It's got amazing colours, and that's him. And once again, he's got a really good shell. He's got really good claws. Now, he's got another really good defence system. They call him Mr. Stinky Turtle. Do you know why they call him Mr. Stinky Turtle? Do you know why? Because when he's scared, behind his back legs, he has a spot where he can just, a bit like a skunk in a way, he can just make this really bad stink. And so if you pick one up on the road to think, oh, I'm going to shift you off the road, you've got to be careful to hold them like that, because if your hand gets under where they make a stink, then you get stink on your hand, and you go and try and wash it off, and guess what? It still stinks. And you go and wash it off, and guess what tomorrow? It still stinks. And it stinks and stinks. And so they're Mr. Stinky Turtles. But I've got some Mr. Stinky Turtles, and they don't make stinks, so they only do that when they're scared. But once again, excellent defense system. They've got their shell, they've got their stink, they've got their really tough claws. So that's what when I think of Ephesians, and your helmet and your breastplate and your shoes and truth and righteousness and salvation and all those things that we have, I look at turtles and I think they've got excellent defense. You and I, excellent defense. Do you want any more? Or are you sick of reptiles? We'll just sit here all day and talk about reptiles then, eh? This is not a reptile, it's an amphibian. But you got these guys here. The green tree frog, of course, because that's what's up in Queensland. Now, Victoria, you don't find them in the bush, but you find them in my house, and they are absolutely amazing. Hey, you find green tree frogs in your toilet, in your bathroom. Yep. They're amazing, absolutely amazing. You had to take them out of your shed, and I'm bringing them into my house. This one here, now one of those isn't a dainty tree frog. One of those is an eastern banjo frog. But these guys here, that's the dainty tree frog. Guess where they come from? They come from around here. So what are they doing in Melbourne? Well, I'm part of a group called Homeless Herps, because frogs are also herps. Homeless herps, and homeless herps is when bananas come to Melbourne, guess what they find sometimes in the bananas? Sometimes they find these guys, and there's this little group where they go, they found one of these, and it's come down on the bananas, and I'll go, I'll take that one. Someone else goes, I'll take that one. And so these are little homeless Queenslanders far away from home in Melbourne. Queenslanders have got lost and travelled on bananas all the way down to the cold where they don't belong. And so you go, I'll take them. And so you put them in their cage, and they've got a heater underneath because in Melbourne it's not warm enough to keep them alive just like normal here. And so you put a heater underneath, and there's a light above, and you've got humidity because Melbourne doesn't have humidity like here. So I've got a little humidity going, psh, 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 putting humidity in for them. And I give homeless Queenslanders a comfortable spot to live out their lives. But they're absolutely beautiful. Don't you think they're beautiful little frogs? Gorgeous, hey? Now, the thing about frogs, if you're keeping frogs, then you've got to be a bit careful. Because if you've got soap or chemicals on your hand, if you've got no spray from hairspray or deodorant on your hand, or if you've got chemicals from doing anything, then that goes straight into their skin. Even their water. So all my other reptiles, I can just go to the tap, get some water. Here, have some water. These guys, it's rainwater because the chlorine's bad for them that we get in our tap water. Because the chemicals go straight through their skin, which is why so many frogs around the world are dying. In Australia, lots of them are getting a fungus, but lots of them are dying because of all the chemicals that we put out in the water and everything else. So when I go to hold these guys, I always have to wash my hands first in rainwater, make sure my hands are wet so they don't dry out, and then I can hold them and play with them and tell them they're beautiful little Queenslanders. But do you know what? It's a bit the same with us. We might not have all the sprays go straight through our skin, but Paul says, he goes, be careful of the pollutants of this world. Careful filling your brains with silly things and things that make you think bad things, and careful of filling your brain with stuff that teaches you about how not to treat people kindly, because it goes straight in, he says. And he goes, be careful of all the things of this world. So, you want any more? Any more reptiles? Yeah, but we're running out of time soon. We'll get through. Eastern water dragon. How cool are these guys? If you ever get down towards Avondale University way, or one day when you get big and you head down to a university because you want to be a teacher or a pastor or something like that, then you walk along the creeks around there and you'll find these guys everywhere. But if you ever come to Melbourne, these guys aren't in Melbourne and like normally, but I've got them in Melbourne. And that's my male and my female. And these are babies. How cool are baby water dragons? Yeah, they are so cute. They've got huge long tails already, and they're all ready to swim. I have to keep the babies away from mum and dad because mum and dad, if they saw the babies, mum lays her eggs, she covers them up, walks away. If she saw her babies again, guess what she'd do? She'd eat them, eh? That's not very loving, but that's a little bit what happens. So, yeah, no, your mums don't want to eat their babies. Maybe sometimes, but not usually. But never. Yeah, never. So these are my baby water dragons. You ready for another one? Now this is one of my favorites. This is called the Woma python. And the Woma python, this is from the Tanami Desert in Western Australia, this one. And he loves living in the sand. He loves it being hot. So where I've got these guys, and you've seen them at the show, yeah. They are beautiful snakes. They flick out their tongues, and they have forked tongues. And do you know what? There's thousands of messages going back between each side of their tongue. Because from their tongue, from the message from that fork and the message from that fork, they can tell how close something is. Which is absolutely amazing, isn't it? And so they're flicking out their tongues all the time and getting their messages. And these guys have little tails like a death adder, and they don't go around trying to grab their prey like normal pythons. They just wait under the leaves and they flick the little tail. And when something comes across to go, "What's that? Have I found a worm?" They'll go, "No, you haven't found a worm. You found me." So that's pretty cool, eh? Yep. Yeah. They do taste the air as well. So that's my Woma python, but I'll show you something else. Oh, that's still Woma. Oh, that's Woma when it bites you. This one here. Guess where this one comes from? It's Australia, but it's a tiny little part up in the Daintree National Park, which is not too far away from here. No, above Brisbane, way up near you. Well, if you're from this part of Queensland. And jungle python is this tiny little part of the Daintree where they've got jungle pythons. Now, one of the things that everyone loves jungle pythons for is they get really nasty really quick. And they just want to bite you. And so you open his cage, "I'll bite you." Open his cage again, "I'll bite you." And the people say the prettier they are, the more bitey they are. I'm not sure if there's a lesson in that for humans, but you might think about that one day. So this is a jungle python, and look how beautiful it is. But it doesn't look like it camouflages well, but if you went to the Daintree, you'd hardly see them, because up in the top of trees, he spends all his life in the top of a tree. And I've got a cage at home. So my Woma pythons, they spend all their life in the sand, and they want to dig burrows in the sand. They never climb. This guy here spends all his life up the top. And he spends all his life around the top of trees, and he never goes down to the ground, or very rarely, except when he wants to drink. They're all made really different. They're super special but different. And just because it's a snake, they've got different temperatures. He likes lots of humidity, and so he's got humidity. Woma python would die if I put my Woma python in that cage, because my Woma python wants lots of dry and lots of sand and wants to dig underneath the sand. He doesn't want sand at all. He wants leaves and bush, and he wants lots of rain. I'm spraying extra water in to keep his humidity high enough. And he's so different. Just because it's a snake doesn't mean it's the same. And you and I are all made incredibly different as well. And you and I are all incredibly beautiful, incredibly different. This one here's a diamond python. You've seen one of these? Absolutely beautiful. And that's my diamond python. Now, the thing is, under his lips, you can see those 4 squares? That's his heat sensors. And he can follow a rat. So if a rat or a little mammal runs past, he can follow that track for up to 2 hours later. Some people say 3 hours. But he can sense where it's been. And if that rat spins a circle and keeps going, he can skip the circle and go to the freshest part and just follow. And that's how he follows and follows and, getting warmer, getting warmer, getting warmer, getting warmer, getting warmer, getting warmer. And he follows his path. Has that got anything to do with being a disciple? Well, Jesus says, "Follow my paths." He goes, "I set out a path for you, follow the path." You might not have heat sensors to follow a path, but he says, "I'll give you the Holy Spirit to impress your heart, and you can follow me." I think that might be the last one I put there to show you, yeah. So, can you learn anything from pets? So you've learned about protection, you've learned about... What else did we learn this morning? We learned about looking out for each other. We learned about seeing with your heart. We learned about building on the rock rather than on the sand. We learned about following the path. And James says, book of James, you can tame all kinds of animals, even reptiles, but make sure you tame your tongue. So when you look around in nature, there's all kinds of things that can teach you all kinds of lessons. So you have a wonderful day at camp. Enjoy your Sabbath school. Enjoy the times in your tents. Enjoy the time with your family and friends. Make sure you tame your tongue and say nice things. Make sure you use your heart to look for people that might be lonely, or someone might be at camp for the first time and you might need to include them. So make sure today you use this eye in your heart, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Let me say a prayer for you. Dear Lord, as we come to you today, we just thank you for the blessings you give us. We thank you that we can be at Big Camp, and thank you that you make so many wonderful things that we can see your love written in all kinds of places. May you guide and bless us today, and as we head around to our different divisions and as we do our different activities, may we be people who represent you. May we allow you to work in and through us. May we follow your path. May we use our hearts to see people, and may we build people up. May we represent you. May you live in us. Amen. Have a wonderful day, and look forward to seeing you around the campground.
Thank you very much, Pastor Brendan Pratt. Amazing, hey? Woo, amazing. So thank you very much once again. And I'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. God bless you.